The biggest thing going on right now is you have Justin Trudeau. He intends to resign, not so much resign, but I think the way for us to start it off is I have a clip, and then when we come back, we can kick this around a little bit. Anyway, check it out.
Dancing to Taylor Swift.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was in Toronto attending a Taylor Swift concert with his family.
I was in the mood. I was going on.
You're wearing your Swiftie bracelet.
I still have it.
How old are you? And we know that 40 years ago, your father famously took a walk in the snow when the Conservatives were up in the polls and decided it was time to give it up. It's snowing out there now.
When my father was my age, he still had a dozen years of prime ministering ahead of him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. 2 weeks later.
I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister.
What a difference 2 weeks makes. And you know, it's so Justin Trudeau, just completely unserious. I left that little part with on This Hour Has 22 Minutes. I left that little part in the front where he's still wearing his Taylor Swiftie bracelets. That he got from all the underage girls at the concert.
Yeah. Well, the good news is the weather yesterday was snowing, but only a little bit. So he didn't actually take a walk in the snow, but he promised to do so at a later time or something. He quit, sort of.
Yeah. Well, the interesting part is I intend to resign. I think we're holding back a little bit in this conversation because there's the other part of it, right? So it's like, oh, great, he's resigned, but we're not getting an election and we're not getting a full resignation anyway. Here's the other thing that he announced in his press conference.
And the fact is, despite best efforts to work through it, Parliament has been paralyzed for months after what has been the longest session of a minority parliament in Canadian history. That's why this morning, I advised the Governor-General that we need a new session of Parliament. She has granted this request, and the House will now be prorogued until March 24th.
And the 2 prorogations in 2 years, the first to avoid a vote of non-confidence that would have surely brought this government down. The second to avoid difficult questions. Anyone who disagrees with this government gets pushed aside. The challenge becomes that he gets to use every tribune he can use. All the media, all the voices, all the attention, and gets to further marginalize people who disagree with him. That's why we're talking about prorogation today.
So there's not going to be an election. He's going to prorogue Parliament for basically 3 months while the Liberal Party gets their act together.
Yeah, well, and I know I was reading in there the Constitution of the Liberal Party, and it's saying that candidates who are interested in seeking the leadership have to report that 90 days before the leadership race. But I'm not even sure we've got 90 days. So I don't know. There's a bunch of questions that are still in the air about this. The Prime Minister just did a cabinet shuffle after the House rose, gave everybody a bunch of raises and promotions and, a bunch more taxpayer dollars, and then prorogued. So now they're getting paid their cabinet minister salaries to sit at home. So, yeah, I don't know. Weird times.
Well, it's just more looting. These people are just looting the government, knowing full well they're on their way out. It's like, just how can I get an extra 40 grand this year of government money on the way out the door? And of course, I put at the end of that clip, it's okay when Justin Trudeau prorogues just to save himself so they can, strut around as if he's the Prime Minister of Canada for another 3 or 4 or 5 months and then give all his friends more money. And the other thing, by the way, I don't want it to be lost on anyone. Harper prorogued twice, and Justin Trudeau accuses him of proroguing rather than to answer difficult questions. And of course, he's not proroguing because we need a reset in Parliament so we're more productive. It's Parliament has gone on this long and it's deadlocked because they refuse to turn over documents in the Green Slush Fund scandal.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the reason why Parliament is paralyzed right now, because they're hiding documents that are associated with somewhere around $200 to $400 million awarded by Liberal insiders that were put on the board of the Green Slush Fund that they awarded to their own companies in funding. It's astounding.
It is. And I know there was a committee that was supposed to study the issue of confidence in the government on January 7th. So it's interesting that he chose the day before that to prorogue, because he cannot prorogue if there's a question of confidence on the table. I would argue the question of confidence has been on the table for a long time. And that's what he's actually avoiding, right? Because we would immediately be going to an election in that case. But people have a lot of questions about what does this mean? What's going to happen while we're sitting in limbo? You know, the country's got to continue and stuff's got to happen. We need some answers on that.
Man, that's it. Thanks for hanging in there. Really appreciate it. It's going to be an exciting year, no matter what. So thanks so much, everyone. Share the podcast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.